Hello and welcome to the Monocle Weekly. I'm Fernando Augusto Pacheco, and for today's episode I speak to the co-founder of Osteria Angelina, Laura Horta. Osteria Angelina is her second restaurant after Angelina in Dalston. The new space in London's Spitalfields is a celebration of Itameshi, Italian food with Japanese ingredients and influences. Here is my conversation with her. Laura Horta, one of the co-founders of Osteria Angelina and Angelina Dalston as well. What a pleasure.
Pleasure's mine.
And first of all, Laura, tell me, where are you from? I sense a Brazilian accent.
Yes, I'm from São Paulo, Brazil. And I've been in London since 2011, so almost 14 years now.
I loved Osteria Angelina. Before we talk about the restaurant, which is this amazing Italian-Japanese type of food, what's your relationship with food? Did you come from a very foodie family?
Yes, my whole family is involved in food in São Paulo. So my parents have always been involved in Spot and Ritz.
Big fan of Spot.
Yeah, well, I love Spot. So every time I go back, I go to Spot, I go to Ritz. And, I've been around restaurants all my life. My grandma also, wrote about food for years, and she had a catering business as well. So I've always been around food, and I always loved food very much.
And when you moved to London, did you feel that you wanted to do something related to it, like open a restaurant?
Yes. Well, I ran away from it a little bit in Brazil because I wasn't sure. I've always loved it, and I wanted to be in hospitality. But for a bit, right after I finished uni, there was an option of, starting working with my grandma and staying there. I was like, oh yes, I want to, but I feel that if I do this now, I won't get to experience other things. So I moved to London being like, oh yeah, I'll be there for 1 to 2 years. I'll work in restaurants and travel around, Europe. And I did that, but I ended up staying.
And here you are. And of course, everything starts with Angelina Dalston, right? And now there's a sequel to it, but they're different.
Yes, they're different
concepts, yeah. Right?
Yeah, one, we've got a tasting menu in Dalston, do a kaiseki inspired. You've got a bit of, Japan and Italy in a lovely mix. And it's the same in Osteria, but it's just a bit easier. It's a bit more, we've got kids, we've got families. It's a bit more open because it's a la carte.
And it's very spacious. The space itself, it's beautiful. For some reason, I think London needed such a space like that.
Yes, it's great. When we came to see the space, we fell in love with it. It used to be a warehouse, and we just got inside. It's it feels, so spacious, and we could put an open kitchen in it and still have, outside area, and it just felt perfect. It's right in the center of it all, but it feels so private at the same time.
And I want to ask, why Italian-Japanese? You are from São Paulo, right? Which is a city with huge communities of Italian and also Japanese. Is that perhaps something from when you were growing up and those?
It's something that Josh came up with. So when I came into the project, it was already like this, but I just felt it fit so beautifully with me because precisely from being from São Paulo and having those two, so close to heart, it just, made sense. For Josh, he's always been in love with all things Japan, and he lived in Italy and spoke Italian, and just felt like it was needed, and Itameshi is such a huge thing, and just needed to bring it to people of London.
I discovered the name looking at your website. I have to say, Itameshi. I think it looks pretty cool. What's your favorite dish? I know that's a bit of a difficult question.
Oh, at the moment, my favorite dish is our tomato pasta, which it feels like it's such a simple thing. Lots of people are like, oh, tomato pasta, it's too simple, I won't have it. But with yuzu koshu, it just lifts it to the best tomato pasta you've ever had. And I also love, we do a linguine with mentaiko, which is lovely. It's not on the menu right now, but it needs to come back.
I have to say the tuna crudo with that wasabi on top, that's so special. But that's a very different type of wasabi from the ones I'm eating. Is there anything different?
It's kizami wasabi. It's extra fresh, and it just retains the flavor so much more.
Do you, for example, when you open Osteria Angelina, do you have to change the menu? Do you wait a few weeks and see what's working, what's not? So how does that work in terms of having to change the menu, or maybe not? Maybe it wasn't necessary.
Obviously, we change frequently. Sometimes it's something that is, not in season anymore, so we have to change to something that is. There's also sometimes something takes a little bit too long, and we can't keep it in the same way, we're always trying to make sure that the guest experience is always the best as it can possibly be. So we'll have to, change here and there to allow for that.
I think we must talk as well about that dessert. That's the only place I've eaten a panna cotta with caviar.
Oh,
that was the other one. That's an interesting mix.
Yeah, so basically, I think it's, the creaminess, it just allows for, the saltiness of the caviar to just elevate it so much. So I think it's just perfect. It's creamy, salty, sweet. It's a bit of everything you want.
From the experience of a restaurateur now that you are, is London a tough city to be a restaurateur? How do you feel? Or maybe it's the opposite, because I've been here 3 times and it was crowded all the times I've came.
Oh yeah, we've been so lucky so far. Fingers crossed it remains that way. Yeah, I feel like London is quite difficult. I think they make it tough, like licensing. There's just, so many red tape things around, until what time you can stay open, when you can sell alcohol. You need to, jump through many hoops. I also think taxation is quite high. Like in São Paulo, I think, like VAT for restaurants is around like 4%, if I'm correct. And here is 20%. So I think like margins wise, it makes things a bit trickier. So sometimes, people from São Paulo, they come here and they get surprised by the fact that they have to make reservations and that, there are other cities, so we need to after 2 hours, you need to vacate your table. And I hate doing that because, the Paulista in me is just like, I really hate kicking people out of their tables. But just the realities in London is that you can't have a business if you can't do more than one sitting,
Talking about Paulistas, have your family eaten in your restaurant?
Yes, they came like they were meant to come, a few months after we opened, but we got delayed a few months, so then they ended up coming in the opening week. So I feel like I barely had time to see them, but it was great. They came over and they had lunch, and then another time they had dinner. It was great.
I know it's too early to say, but I was just wondering, because I feel, do you have already plans of expansion or what's set in your mind? First let's establish Osteria Angelina and then we see how it goes, right?
Yeah, well, I'm always a bit more cautious. So I go like, okay, let's get established. Let's make sure everything is, running well, and then we can look. But, my partner, Josh, he's always looking, thinking 5 steps ahead. So I'm sure he's got already plans that I don't even want to know about because I'll get too stressed.
What do you cook at home, Laura?
Oh, I wish I had more time to cook at home. We don't cook that much at home at the moment because we're in the restaurant so much.
You can take some of the lovely focaccias I just ate.
Yes.
This is a special focaccia.
It is a special focaccia. And yeah, we eat a lot of it. All of the little extra bits go to us in South, which I'm not complaining. But at home, when we cook, we do like cook pastas, risottos. I love a roast chicken, and Josh loves a roast chicken as well. So yes, that I guess.
And my final question is, just because you're Brazilian, I know your restaurant is Italian, Japanese, but do you feel like Brazilian chefs or Brazilian restaurateurs, I have a feeling it's our moment. It took a while, but we are there in the international scene. I feel very proud having a Brazilian restaurateur here in London.
Yes, I think so. I think it took a while, exactly. Yeah, it took a while to properly start. I think it was hard to get, and it still is hard to get ingredients in Brazil. But I think now, finally, after many years of like slowly brewing, I think people are, giving the proper recognition to the ingredients that come from Brazil. So instead of having to get, cheese from Italy, we're like, oh, actually, we have nice cheese. We can invest in our own cheese in our own regions and make it a thing. And I think that's finally catching on, which is amazing to see.
That was Laura Horta, and for more information, go to angelina.london. I'm Fernando Augusto Pacheco. The show was edited by Jack Jewers. Thank you for listening.